It has been a while. It has been a long while. But the return of the Chungus is here. Unfortunately, you can't do it like you used to. In a few patches ago, the developers encrypted the game files. So it's not as easy as just editing a JSON file. What you essentially have to do is to use cheat engine. But if you have tried, and I'm sure some of you have, if you just go to cheat engine and set a search for the value of a variable and set it, it's not going to work. And the reason that that's not going to work is because the game internally is moving the data around. It's not going to stick. So what you actually have to do is to disassemble the code, or you don't have to disassemble it, but you have to modify the assembly instructions, the binary instructions of the game itself, and remove checks and that makes you able to do these sort of things. Either remove the checks or directly set registers. This is kind of complicated, but I will show you how. Keep in mind that it's really, this is difficult stuff. And while I am a programmer by trade, I'm not an expert in reverse engineering, nor am I that experienced with using cheat engine. So I can't really provide you with a pre-made table. You're just going to have to look at what I'm doing and try to do the same yourself. Now, this is a big, chunky fella. And look at his turning circle. 4 kilometers of turning circle. And I'm hearing fire in the distance. So let's have a look. You can tell that something isn't quite right there. Oh my. Look at look at these pancakes in a row, like ducklings. So if you're not familiar with these kind of memory editing and cheats, it appears that this is also applying to the AI. And I deliberately made it so in this video, or at least this segment of the video, because it is possible to avoid it, but you have to take active precautions for it. And that's also one of the reasons that I can't really make a pre-made table for you, because I don't really know, or I don't want to spend time on figuring out how to make this interactive. I will show you later in the video how this is done. But for now, let's see if I can't shoot these guys. Oh wow, I'm turning like shit. And in case, I mean, I'm sure you probably know, but the bigger your ship is, the easier it is to get hit as well. So they probably have a very good chance of hitting me. Well, I'm not sure how much I trust these values. 11%, that seems... Well, it's at 35 clicks, so that's probably a good value. Regardless, this is going to take quite a while to finish. The reload rate of these guns, it's 3 minutes per salvo. And that's not really the point either. I just wanted to start off by showing that unless you take precautions, this will apply to your enemies as well. So let's get over to cheat engine and see if we can't show you guys how this is done. Well, it finally happened. I was modding a bit too much and I messed up my save file, I think. And unfortunately, I didn't have a backup before I started this. So that means my campaign is probably gone and it's regretful. I'm going to see if it's possible to salvage it later. But let's just get this modding out of the way. I'm reshooting the entire way to do this from scratch because I have a lot better overview of the process now. So let's just get started. I'll be making this ship pretty basic. The point here is not to make the most amazing Chungus ship there is, but just to show the process so you guys can do it. I'll just be skipping over this section pretty quickly. Okay, so before we go any further, we want to get the weight under control. This is the most important thing to be able to control. So what we need to do is to find this value 84319, which is our current displacement. And let's see, we need to open the cheat engine. And let's attach cheat engine to the game. Now, I need to remember this value again. 84319. 84319. Okay, and we are attached to the process. And I know that if you don't know anything about programming, you need to know that there's the numbers have different data types. The weight happened to be a float unit, I believe. Yeah, I think so. So let's just search for a float. And the game will find all, the cheat engine will find all values in the game's memory that has this value. And I've been doing this a few times now, so I just know that these two are correct, and it's probably the first one. It's hard to be. I mean, there's no right and wrong here because both of these values are affected by what we're doing. But let's just keep it as easy as possible. This is the weight, but we can't. I can't just now double click here like in cheat engine and just set this to another value. Because the game is changing around the memory addresses, so it won't last. Like I can do it for like a few changes and then it's gone again. So what instead I can do is I can right click on the value and use this F6 menu, find out what writes to this address. This will attach a debugger to the game, and this makes the game really, really slow. So we need to remove this when we're done. Now, the debugger is set to monitor that address, and as soon as something is changing, it will show us. Like you can say, see, it's so slow. But anyway, it already has seen over 10,000 calls to write to that address, and I'm telling you that sounds pretty insane from coming from a developer for one slider to recalculate the weight of that ship 10,000 times. I'm not going to say that it's wrong or right, but it sounds right wrong. Anyway, I know for a fact that it's the middle method here. But there's no real way to just know. You just have to look through the code we're getting when we get there. So right click on it and choose show this address in the disassembler or Control D. And now remember to close the debugger, which is attached to that specific address because it slows down the game a lot. Okay, and I also know how to do this in the way I'm going to show you. So I'll just do that. First, attach a comment to the line we're at and call it wait, just so it's easy for you to understand. And set a bookmark to number 0 because we have to go back and forth in the list, so it's nice to have these bookmarks. Now, what happens here is that this is this assembly code. And this is a move scalar single float point operation, as indicated down here. You can look up this bytecode against the 86 assembly code and just verify what it does. But basically, it's looking up an address at RSI, which is a register, plus this static address, and then putting it in XM. No, it's the other way around. I think it's taking whatever is in the register XMM0 and putting it in this address. And this is also probably why the memory address jumps around, and you can't just put it manually here, because this RSI, whatever value is in RSI, this register, it probably changes as the game ticks, and that's why the memory location is changing. That's a tangent. Anyway, I know for a fact that if I right-click on this and just select replace with code that does nothing, basically I will take this line of code and I'll just put in no NOP operations, or no operation in here. And basically, what that will do is that this line doesn't happen. And as it turns out, the way the game is coded right now, it means that the weight check is gone. It doesn't check the weight at all. So we're at down to like 2% now. This is the easiest way to modify this. And it also happens to be the most important. So that is pretty convenient. Okay, so let's just build up this ship for a bit now, just to take advantage to the fact that we have as much weight to play with that we just want. In the past, we could get up to 100 inches of armor, but right now it seems like the limit is at 35. It should be possible to overwrite this in memory editing, but at the moment I'm not concerned about that. Okay. This is a ship, but that's not what we're here for. We are here for the Chungus. Now, the easiest way to make the Chungus again is to adjust the beam value. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way to just put a NOP operation there, because even if I freeze this value to say like 5 and then drag this up, it will remain at the 5 size. I want to go beyond the limits of 12 here. So I need to find a way to set the value directly. I can't just use a no operation like I did with the weight limit. So how do I do that? Well, first we need to find the address that is manipulating this value right now. So we'll go down back here, do a new scan. I think this is a float value as well. So we'll do a scan for 5 as a float. And then we change it. 4. Next scan. 3. You need to do this a few times until you can pinpoint the value. So just change it a few times and then rescan until you just get it. Okay. I'm betting it is the top one here. No, wait, that's not necessarily right, because I think this is a float. and this is an integer, while the two values below are floats. Let's change it just one more time to see what we get. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. So it's probably an integer then. Well, anyway, let's see what values are modifying this one. The F6 menu, this is the debugger. And put this to 5, for example. We have one address modifying it. Show it in the address, and then close this one. Now, okay, so I believe this is the right one. I don't want to dive into how I managed to see that, because it's complicated and it actually requires a lot of failure and, just studying the code. And it's difficult. I'm not an expert at this at all. I know a lot about programming. I am a programmer, but I'm not used to delving down into the assembly level, right? Anyway, I'm fairly certain that I can work with this address since I've tried it a few times before. And this is the beam value, I think. Let's put a bookmark here. So what I want to do here is to look at this address, this code. This is a move scalar single floating point operation. And basically what this does, I believe, is taking whatever is in the XMM0 register and put it in the address that is being calculated in the first part here. And I believe if I can put whatever I want to into the XMM0 register, then I can control this. The question is, how do I do this? And the method I found to do this in Cheat Engine, and I know you can automate all of this, and that's how people make trainers, right? But I have no idea how to do that, or I at least don't want to invest the time to learn it. Anyway, what I can do is to attach a breakpoint here with F5. And what that will do is the next time the program comes to this code, it will stop. So let's force it to stop when I do a new value. And now the game is completely unresponsive, and it's because I've stopped the program. It's not executing anymore. And what the debugger here, or a memory viewer, lets me see, are all the registers. But I need to find the XMM0 register, and I get that by clicking on this little arrow here. And it's the top one here. And if I double click on it, now I can change it. If I change this to 250 and then press run, yeah, I thought it would crash, but it's basically the program resumed running, and then it remembered, oh yeah, the last thing the user did was alt tabbing out, so let's alt tab out. Regardless, now it is, the game is running, and I have the size I want. Now, the important part here is that when I press launch, there's going to be a validation round afterwards, where it validates my design. So I need to be able to change this during the loading of the battle. And I'm going to do that by just keeping this breakpoint on the same line, and do it manually when the game loads. And I am fairly certain that I did show you guys the intro or the first segment where I showed you all the French pancakes that also were pretty round. And the reason why that happened is because I didn't do this as a single operation, but I injected code that set the this register to 250% every time it came to this location by choosing this. Where is it? I don't remember right now, but it is possible to set the register value every time I am there. But the thing is, it also applies for the enemies, so I need to make sure that it can only happen once. Anyway, let's just make this Chungus by using our main guns as side guns. These. Just put them out there, make sure we have some decent arcs. I'm not spending any time at all to just figure out what is a good design here. Yeah, let's get these 8 inches in as well. Like, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I'll show you guys how to fit the 8 inches on this design properly. And the way you do that is by making sure these are pointing outwards. If you don't know, you can use R and T to rotate the turrets when you're placing them, or any items for that matter. Okay, there's a lot more I can do with this design, but that's beyond the point. I want to launch the game now and just show you how you can get this into the game. Now, the first thing you want to do before you launch the game is to use the go to bookmark here, go back to the where we overrode the wait function and restore the original code. You just right click it, and where it used to say replace with code that does nothing, you can use restore with original code. That way, the enemy ships will not have infinite weight budget when they design their ships, which is a good thing. Now, if you go to the second bookmark where we have for the beam width, you want to make sure that you still have the breakpoint there, because the first thing that happens when we press launch now is that the game now is frozen because we are at that breakpoint, and it's trying to confirm that the width of the ship, the beam, is correct. So if we have this code, this breakpoint in the same path in the code path now, I can just go to xmm0 and overwrite this once more. And this is the important part. I now need to remove the toggle point by pressing F5 or right-clicking and choosing it. And then press run. That will resume the game. And now, none of the modifications we did in memory here will affect the enemies. When... Okay. So I have had this happen. And sometimes I need to do it twice to change the beam size of the ship, because you can now see that the guns are on the outside, so it is kind of working. It's just it's not working the way we expect to, right? But on the other side, like this, you get the guns on the outside and you don't get any of the negative traits like the 4,000 meter turning circle. But let's do this one more time to see if we can't get the Chungus into battle. Now, when we get back here, we need to get back to the weight, do a NOP. Just do something to change the weight that you can easily undo, like changing anything basically that affects weight. And then we need to go back, go to bookmark, go for the beam, put a breakpoint, change the beam, and don't touch the slider. If you do the slider, it will, I find that it will recalculate the size of the ship for every single increment you can drag down here. Like this is 12, right? If I go down to 11, it will go through 11.9, 11.8, 11.7, and it will recalculate the entire thing all the time. The developers need to debounce this slider to avoid that. That's just my performance tip. Anyway, if we just push 11 here right away, or just type in there, we now get into the code, and it will only trigger once because we did it by typing in there instead of dragging. And now we can set the register again, 250, and run. And now we got the Chungus. Now let's try one more time to get it into battle. I wonder if I'm not replacing the weight limit just yet. I launch, and now the weight limit has been removed. If I now go and restore the weight limit, and then go down here, I think I can now force this to 250, remove the breakpoint, and then run it. Let's see if that does the trick. It's taking its time. I'm just going to check if... yeah, the weight limit is back there. It might just be the AI is spending a lot of time building their designs. Oh god, I hope this is recording, by the way. Yep. Okay. There we go. No dice. Okay. One more time. We remove the weight limit. And we will fix the size. Okay, let's see if my memory is correct. If I now, first and foremost, I need to make sure that this is the weight code is restored. And we go back to this, the beam code. Let's try injecting it twice now. There might be 2 checks going on. So run for the first one. And one more time. 250. Now we can remove the breakpoint. Run. And we still need to wait for the enemy battleships to be... sorry about that. I hope this is removed. Okay, so there we go. The reason why I left in the previous attempts is just to show you guys how this can go wrong and how you troubleshoot it, because this is a lot of trial and error. Yes. I'm fairly happy that I managed to remember how to do this, because this is difficult, and the only thing you can do is just try to experiment. There's no right or wrong here. This is an incredibly difficult field to disassemble or to reverse engineer code in this manner from assembly code. Now, there are techniques to compile it back to C code without any information in it, so it's unstructured. But that's way beyond the scope of this and whatever I'm willing to do. Yeah, the guns are, you know, it can't turn, it can't avoid incoming fire, even if this seems like the enemy has, 11 inches. But you can pack a lot of firepower on, this. I'm going to say that it's a disfavor to call this a parking lot, because this is a lot bigger. And you also have to take care of that, because you are a lot easier to hit. So it's not really an advantage. I mean, this is a man-made island. Okay, so the point here is not to really, show this dragged out fight between these ships. They can probably kill me, because they always get these critical hits, since it's so easy to hit me. Or to hit the Chungus. And instead, this is going to be unscripted, and for that reason, I'm going to first of all, no, let's just use the same design and copy it. Okay, so what I want to show you guys is how to manipulate other stuff. Because I only show you guys weight and beam, but there's so much more that can be done. I haven't experimented with it all. But I want to show you something else. But before I do that, I just need to fix the beam and the weight there. With code that does nothing, and we can just do this, like this. And change the beam one time. 250. Remove, run. That's weird. Okay, now it should work. What happened there is that sometimes the check runs multiple times, and if you don't override it every time the check runs, it's just going to jump back into whatever is clamping the max value of this slider. It's probably, or it's not only probably, but it is possible to override the clamping value as well. So you can just set the max value, but that requires a lot of effort to find where that value is set. Regardless, what I want to show you guys just before I leave is how to increase the size of the gun barrels. And the way you do that is to modify these values. Now, I know that they are 4 byte long integers. Let's do a scan. Currently, they are 20. No, okay, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, new scan, 4 byte size, and first scan. And the same here. Don't touch these the plus or minus here. Just enter it directly. And the new value is 5. And 15. Okay, here we got it. So if we did the same here, F6, go to the address in the disassembler, remove the debugger because it's really demanding on the, it slows down the game a lot. And here we are copying whatever is in EX to this address, I believe. So, but we can't modify the EX address directly. But if you see the value above there, this is converting whatever is in XMM6 into the EX register, and that one we can modify. So this is the one we're going to call for barrel length. And we are setting a bookmark here and a breakpoint. So if I now type, say 7 there, we have stopped at the location. And this is the XMM6 register. You can see the value is 7, what we typed. Let's put it back to 18 just to prove a point there. And then run. And the guns are length 18. Now, I'm going to show you something. If I now force this to change again, and I put a, this is the wrong address. It's the number 6. If I put anything larger than 20, say 40, and the game has to run multiple times now. So just remove the toggle point again and press run. No, this didn't change anything. Let's okay, let's do it manually. 4 and put it to 40. Run. Okay, it only did it one time this time. So you can see that these are significantly longer, but there's no more information. When I'm hovering over the tower now, or the turret now, it's not showing the turret information. And that's because the game doesn't expect values higher than 20 here. But they are still a lot more efficient. It still works. And you can also, for example, if you put something like 120 here, or it doesn't matter what you put there, you have to put it here. You can see they are a lot larger now. It still works. They fire longer and they have a bigger punch. But the thing is, it also affects their fire rate. So they are going to be insanely slow to fire. And basically, for the biggest guns, this is going to completely ruin the. I mean, it's no point for the biggest guns to do this. Basically, I don't think you need to I'm unsure if you need to keep this or resupply this value as the game is loading into the game. I'm not sure actually, but what I can tell you though is that the same address that we have here also controls any other gun you have in this list. So if I push 5 now and enter, this is for the 8 inches. I can put this to something like 80. Run. And now the 8 inches are also pretty long. So I'm not going to show any gameplay for this, and I'm just going to let you guys experiment with this. But it is possible. You can probably modify anything here with enough patience and exploration. And hopefully somebody who actually know how to use cheat engine will make a more interactive table that can give you hotkeys, so you can turn it off while the game is loading and turn it back on when you need it. Hopefully we'll find somebody like that. Don't count on me doing it, because I don't have the experience, even if it is not, beyond my skills. Anyway, that's enough for now. I think I've been talking all evening, actually. I cut away a lot of dialogue here, because can you imagine that this is more difficult than you expect? And I was fumbling while trying to explain something I didn't fully... I'm not going to say I didn't understand it, but I didn't have enough experience with. So I hope you guys are able to recreate the Chungus, and you can also do this probably the same with the Draught as well. Like you can, raise it to the top hat design. And I'll leave it by that. Oh, one more thing. You might notice that my sound is kind of different from my usual videos. And that's because I finally was able to upgrade my audio equipment. And hopefully I don't have to spend hours editing my audio from now on. I really hope I see you guys the next time I make a video. I try to make something like 2-3 videos a week. So I'll see you guys next time.